When a man suddenly goes silent and ignores you, he hasn't lost interest. He's attempting to regain something far more primal, control over how much you matter to him. There's a particular kind of silence that descends in the space between two people when one decides to withdraw. It's not the silence of peace. It's not the quiet of resolution. It's cold, strategic, a void that hums with intention. You reach out, a text, a call, a question left hanging in the air, and you receive nothing, just the empty echo of your own voice. The clock ticks, the hours stretch, and in that waiting, something shifts inside you. You begin to question, to wonder, to doubt. Here's what most people won't tell you. When a man ignores you, he's not indifferent. He's desperate. Research in relational psychology shows that men use withdrawal as a power restoration tool when they perceive a loss of relational control. His silence isn't absence. It's presence in its most calculated form. The man who stops responding isn't moving on. He's orchestrating a comeback. He's attempting to reverse the currency of attention, to make you feel what he felt when he believed you stopped needing him. And the moment you start chasing that silence, trying to decode it, trying to fix it, he's won. I'm Adrian Vale, and for 17 years, I've been studying the hidden patterns beneath human connection, particularly the ones we mistake for rejection when they're actually defense. I'm not here to vilify men or to take sides. I'm here to reveal the invisible choreography of power in relationships, to illuminate what lies beneath the surface, and what I'm about to share isn't talked about in mainstream psychology because it exposes the fragility behind what looks like strength. So let me ask you, where are you watching this from? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see love, power, and human nature through the lens of depth psychology, if you want to explore what others avoid, subscribe. We go beneath the surface every time. Now let's talk about what's really happening when a man ignores you. Carl Jung understood that the ego is fragile. It's constantly negotiating its worth through the gaze of others. The ego needs to feel seen, valued, significant. And when a man feels unseen or devalued, when you pull away, when you show independence, when you stop chasing, his ego registers this as a wound, not a small scratch, a deep cut to his sense of self. Ignoring you is the ego's attempt to restore balance, to make you feel what he felt, uncertainty, longing, lack. It's a psychological rebalancing. Nietzsche once wrote, "In revenge and in love, woman is more barbarous than man." But the same impulse lives in men. They wound to reclaim dignity. They withhold to feel whole again. And so we arrive at the central question. Is his silence about punishing you, or is it about protecting himself? The answer, often, is both. Because what he's doing is projection. He feels powerless internally, so he projects powerlessness onto you by withholding his presence. He cannot tolerate the feeling of being the one who cares more, the one who needs more, the one who's vulnerable. So he flips the script. And suddenly, you're the one waiting, you're the one questioning, you're the one feeling small. Every relationship has an invisible power economy. Who pursues, who retreats, who needs, who offers. And when a man feels he's losing currency in that economy, your attention, your need, your focus, ignoring you, is how he attempts to tip the balance back. Here's the neuroscience behind it. The brain's reward system, driven by dopamine, is activated by uncertainty and intermittent reinforcement. When something becomes predictable, the dopamine fades. But when something becomes unpredictable, when you don't know if you'll get a response, when the connection becomes sporadic, your brain lights up. It craves resolution. It craves the hit of reconnection. By going silent, he shifts the entire dynamic. Now you wonder. Now you reach out. Now you question your worth. And in that shift, he regains the psychological upper hand. This isn't always conscious manipulation. Often, it's instinctive recalibration. A man feels the sting of emotional distance, and his response is automatic. Withdraw, to restore equilibrium. I once spoke with a woman named Maya. She was 29 from Amsterdam. Her partner went silent for a week after she declined his invitation to meet his family. She spiraled. She questioned everything, her feelings, her value, whether she'd made a mistake. When they finally spoke, he admitted something that changed her understanding entirely. He said, "I felt rejected, so I needed space to feel in control again." Not space to think, space to regain power. His silence was never about moving on. It was about making her feel what he felt. But there's something even deeper beneath this pattern, something more fragile. Beneath every act of ignoring is a man trying to escape the unbearable feeling that he no longer holds significance in your world. Jung spoke of the shadow, the parts of the psyche we deny, the emotions we exile, the fears we refuse to name. And for many men, the shadow holds a singular terror, insignificance, the fear that he doesn't matter, that he's replaceable, that he's not enough. When a man ignores you, he's often wrestling with his own wounded masculinity, and silence becomes his armor. If I don't reach out, he tells himself, I can't be rejected again. If I withhold, I control the narrative. If I disappear, I can't be dismissed. The more fragile his internal sense of worth, the more rigid and calculated his external detachment becomes. This is projection in its purest form. He feels powerless internally, so he projects power externally through his control of presence and absence. He manipulates the very things that terrifies him. Mattering. There was another woman I spoke with, Layla, 37, from Cape Town. Her ex-partner would ghost her for days whenever she prioritized work over him. She thought it was cruelty. She thought he was punishing her. Years later, long after they'd separated, she learned the truth. He told her, I felt invisible, and ignoring you was the only way I knew how to feel seen. That paradox is everything. He withdrew to be noticed. He disappeared to be found. And Jung said it perfectly. Where love rules, there is no will to power. And where power predominates, love is lacking. When a man uses silence as strategy, love has left the room. What remains is the desperate scramble to feel significant again. But here's where the story shifts. Here's where your power returns. The moment you understand that his ignoring is about him, not you, you stop dancing to the rhythm of his ego, and that's where your power lives. Understanding this pattern doesn't give you control over him. It gives you something far more valuable, clarity and detachment. You stop taking his silence personally. You stop wondering what you did wrong, why you're not enough, why he won't just communicate. You begin to see his behavior for what it is, his ego wound, his fragility, his inability to sit with discomfort without weaponizing distance. This is what Jung called individuation, the process of separating your worth from his need to manipulate the dynamic. The power shift happens in a single internal movement, from "why is he ignoring me" to "I see what he's doing and I choose not to participate." When you stop chasing, when you stop waiting, when you stop assigning desperate meaning to his silence, you reclaim your energetic sovereignty. You step out of the economy he's trying to control, and in that space, you remember something essential. Your value was never determined by his attention. Let me be clear about something. Awareness is not manipulation. It's alignment with truth. You cannot heal his ego. You cannot fix his wound. You cannot make him face what he refuses to see. You can only refuse to be the mirror he uses to avoid himself. And his silence loses all its power the moment you stop feeding it with your attention, your worry, your need for resolution. If this is landing for you, if something inside you is saying yes, subscribe. This is the work we do here. Now let's bring this home. His silence will never be your puzzle to solve. Your only responsibility is to honor what you feel and choose what honors you back. Let's be honest about what we've uncovered. His ignoring is a power reclamation strategy. It's rooted in ego fragility and the fear of insignificance. It reveals his internal imbalance, not your worth. And you are not responsible for managing his ego, for healing his wounds, for staying in dynamics that diminish you. Healthy relationships are built on mutual presence, not power games, not silence as currency, not withholding as strategy. When someone uses silence to manipulate how you feel, they're telling you something crucial. They lack the maturity to communicate like an adult. They lack the courage to sit with vulnerability without turning it into a weapon. And I need to say this again, because it matters. Information is not invitation. Understanding his psychology doesn't mean you tolerate manipulation. Respect and consent, for yourself, matter most. You can see him clearly and still choose distance. You can understand his wound and still refuse to be collateral damage in his refusal to heal it. Compassion doesn't require your participation in your own diminishment. You are allowed to walk away from what doesn't honor you. You are allowed to prioritize your peace over his power plays. And the strongest thing you can do is hold space for truth without betraying yourself in the process. Before you go, here are 3 things you can do right now. You to reclaim your center. First, stop responding to silence with pursuit. Let his silence be his. Don't fill the void. Don't chase the explanation. Don't assign meaning where he's offering none. Observe it. Acknowledge it. And let it sit exactly where it is, with him. Second, ask yourself this question and answer it honestly. Is this dynamic honoring me? Is it nourishing me? Is it allowing me to show up as my whole self? If the answer is no, act accordingly. Not out of revenge, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Third, reclaim your attention as sacred. Where you place your focus is where your power lives. And if you're spending your energy decoding silence, waiting for breadcrumbs, hoping for change, you're giving your power to someone who's using it against you. Bring it back. Redirect it toward what actually nourishes you. His silence is his strategy. Your peace is your birthright. Choose accordingly. Comment below and let me know where you're watching this from. And subscribe if this resonated, because we're going to keep going deeper. Into the psychology that others won't touch. Into the truth that honors your intelligence and your worth.